Greetings everyone, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to the latest episode in the Project Dramond series where I dive into all of the various things that are being worked on within this project, whether it's the adventure game component, the point and click game that my brother's working on, whether it's the concept art that Chris is working on, or things that I'm working on with the core rulebook and the backstory, the campaign module, the maps, and eventually the book later on this year. Today's post, you can find a link to this below, is all about what I'm generically calling the Second Age. Now, that is not the official title for this time period, but it is something that I used for the draft format for Draft 1.0. It will eventually change. Another similar thing that I'm doing, for those of you who aren't familiar with my process, as an example, we call the elves elves, and we say the Elven Civil War because that's what humans generically refer to them is as elves. But the elves all have their own names, their own unique names for each one of the elves, whether it's the ice elves, high elves, wood elves, or sea elves. Those names, if you look at the world map, you'll see that the names of the four cities for the elves have a very unique naming system, and that's part of the elven language. And we will be giving those names kind of refer back to the elves themselves and what each tribe is called. So in my drafts, when I do draft point oh, I took this from Stephen King years ago. Don't worry about vocabulary, don't worry about grammar, don't worry about all that stuff. Just try to get your ideas down, get it as reasonably, get the copy as clean as possible, but don't worry about vocabulary or anything like that because you can always come back and change it later on. So when I say the second age, it's not actually what it's going to be called. I always think of first age, second age, third age. That's Tolkien. I'm not going to steal that man's thunder, but I do use that as a generic reference point here for the time period that we're talking about. Basically, we're looking at the time between the end of the Elven Civil War and the beginning of the Plague. And the Plague is where everything is taking place now. That's the here and now. That's the event that happened, which kicked off um, the events that start at the beginning of the campaign. It's what triggers the events that are happening in the book. But there is a several hundred year period of time between when the humans came north, which is what last week's episode was all about. It was about the humans. Well, actually, that was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks was the humans coming north, and then last week was the Elven Civil War, which was sparked by the arrival of humans at the end of the Quantum Wars. So we have a few hundred-year period in this second age, during which the wood elves and the hill dwarfs, and the brownies and such and the halflings and such are trying to figure out how to coexist with the humans, which is a challenge because they've never seen them before. And for the most part, the only ones who knew they were coming north were the elves. The dwarves had no idea. The elves didn't fill them in on it. The halflings had no idea. The brownies had no idea. So the elves knew, and that's it though. So you've got these Fey races that are trying to deal with this human existence and going, well, these people, are they a threat? Or they look like, they're all tattered and remnants and barely surviving, and they're like refugees. And so there's this desire to help them, and so we go through the history of the humans interacting with the wood elves and dwarves and halflings and so on and so forth, and kind of how that affects the spread of humanity throughout the southern realms of the Fae and then going up to the coast along the inner sea. That's what this whole post is about. So if that kind of stuff interests you and you want to know more about the um, the current what got us to the current timeline, that's what today's post is all about. So check that out below. Next week's post is going to be getting us up to speed with the plague, and the plague is the thing that happened a few months before the book starts, a few months before the campaign module starts. It's the plague is the event that kicks off the extreme reaction from the Church of the Elder Ways and their desire to begin persecution of the elves, and then that eventually spreads to all the Fae. But we're not going to talk about that today. That's going to be next week's episode, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you have not already done so, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so that you get updates on all the future content that I do on Project Dramond or the other things that we do here on this channel, like Lord of the Rings Online, the Lotro Cooking in Real Life series, Monday Musings, Mondays in MMORPGs, so on and so forth. I'm also going to be playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming up in May. I'm going to be streaming those play sessions. I will be playing on the PS4, so I won't be using my webcam for those sessions, but I will be streaming those nevertheless for those who want to tune into that. So those are some of the things that we do here on the YouTube channel. And of course, join the Discord below, join the Patreon. Link is below. Read the post. Link is below. Check out the TikTok because we do nearly daily video updates on all the various things that are being worked on Project Dramond. Links below to my TikTok as well as my brother's TikTok. And stick around for the next episode and also check out the previous videos here in the YouTube playlist. Until next time, stay safe, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode.